2 games. That is all that stands between Arsenal and the Premier League title. They have been waiting 22 years to hold. Not 10 games, not 5, 2. But here is what is happening right now in North London. Ben White is out for many, many weeks. Those are Arteta's own words. Calafiori is uncertain. Timber is racing against the clock. Manchester City just put 3 goals past Crystal Palace without breaking a sweat, cutting the gap at the top to just 2 points. And Pep Guardiola is sitting there quietly, telling the world he's just waiting in case Arsenal slip. The title is in Arsenal's hands, but those hands are not steady right now. Burnley are coming to the Emirates. Crystal Palace are waiting after that. And every single person connected to this football club knows that if Arsenal drop points in either of those 2 games, everything changes. This is the moment. This is the pressure. This is exactly the situation Micah Richards warned about when he said nerves alone can cost you a title you should have already won. Arsenal are not over the line yet. And today we are breaking down everything you need to know about where this club stands right now at the most important point of their season. Before we go any further, I want you to understand what is at stake for Arsenal right now. This is not just about winning football matches. This is about ending a 22-year wait for a Premier League title. This is about proving that the rebuilding project under Arteta is not just good, but historically great. And this is about doing it while also preparing for a Champions League final against Paris Saint-Germain. The pressure is enormous. And as we will discuss today, even people who have been in similar positions before are warning that pressure alone can cost you everything. If you want this level of deep, focused, honest analysis on everything happening at Arsenal, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We break this club down properly on this channel every single day. Now, let us go story by story. Ben White, Calafiori and Timber. The injury picture, Mikel Arteta faced the media ahead of the Burnley match, and the injury news he delivered was a mixed picture that every Arsenal supporter needs to understand clearly. Starting with Ben White. Arteta's exact words were these: "We have to wait and see. It looks like a long-term injury. At the moment, the focus is that. When can we have him back to be available for Arsenal?" And that's not going to happen in many, many weeks. Read those words carefully. Many, many weeks. That is not a minor knock. That is not a player who will be available for the run-in. Ben White, as things stand, is done for this season. That is the reality of the situation, and Arteta was not hiding it. He was giving it to everyone straight. And what does that mean analytically? It means Arsenal are heading into 2 of the most important Premier League games of the last 2 decades and into a Champions League final without one of their most reliable defenders. White's versatility, his reading of the game and his consistency over recent seasons have made him an important part of how this team functions defensively. His absence is not a small problem. It is a significant one that the squad will need to manage carefully. Moving to Riccardo Calafiori, Arteta said, no, we don't know whether he's going to be available now. We still have days ahead. Hopefully it is nothing serious, but we'll have to wait and see how he reacts to that. So Calafiori is uncertain. He is not confirmed available. He is not confirmed out. He sits in that uncomfortable space where Arsenal supporters will have to wait for news. The fact that Arteta said hopefully it is nothing serious suggests there is some optimism, but there is clearly concern too. This is a player who has been important to the defensive structure, and his availability for the Burnley game and beyond is genuinely up in the air. And then there is Jurrien Timber. This update was the most positive of the 3. Arteta said he wanted to be very close to the team. He has progressed a little bit in the last few days. He's feeling better. We are going to try to get him fit and available as quick as possible, but let us see. Obviously, he has been out now for a while. Arteta went further with Timber, adding these words. Unfortunately, he is such an important player for us, and we all know that. He is doing everything that he possibly can to help the team in any capacity. His leadership, his quality, and how much the team needs him. He is trying everything that he can. Sky Sports confirmed the same update. Timber has progressed. He is feeling better, but he has been out for a while, and Arsenal are not rushing anything. Here is my analytical take on the Timber situation. Every Arsenal supporter will be hoping he makes it back for the Champions League final against Paris Saint-Germain. The importance of having him available against a team with the quality and the attacking threat of PSG cannot be overstated. Arteta clearly values him enormously, and the emotional weight of those words about Timber's leadership and his desire to help the team tells you everything about the kind of player he is and how much he means to this squad. 3 key defenders, 3 different situations, 1 long-term absence, 1 uncertain and 1 progressing, but racing against time. The injury picture at Arsenal right now is challenging, and how Arteta manages it will be critical. Arteta on the fan connection and the Burnley atmosphere. Arteta was asked about the team coach being greeted by fans before the Atletico Madrid match and whether Arsenal plan to replicate that energy for the Burnley game. His response was remarkable in terms of what it tells us about the culture being built at this club. He said, "I loved it. I think all the players just loved it. I think it builds an energy connection with them that we have not experienced before." And the whole preparation and the whole atmosphere showed that the level of meaning was higher and the level of implication and desire and passion from our supporters was different as well. And it really helps. He then described what it felt like from inside. The players were in the other bus, but I could see straight away all the staff and everybody was there just looking at each other. I said, wow, we have taken this now to a different level. Just looking, the engagement, the passion, the enthusiasm of our fans in their eyes, I think that was something special. This is important context. Arteta is not just talking about a fan event. He is talking about a cultural shift. He is describing a moment where the energy between the supporters and the squad reached a level that felt genuinely different. And now he wants to bring that same atmosphere to the Burnley game. My analysis here is this. When a manager talks about atmosphere in these terms before a title-defining home game, it tells you that he understands the psychological dimension of what is about to happen. He is not just preparing his team tactically, he is preparing the emotional environment around the club. That is smart management. That is someone who knows that winning a First League title in 22 years will require more than just good football. It will require the right energy, the right belief and the right atmosphere in that stadium. Delo becomes Arsenal's official sleeve partner. This is confirmed official news. Arsenal have announced Dell as their new official sleeve partner, with the deal starting from the 26 to 2027 season. As part of the agreement, Dell's logo will appear on the left sleeve of Arsenal's home, away and third kits. The announcement confirmed that this makes Dell only the second global brand ever to feature on the sleeve of Arsenal's iconic shirt. This is straightforward business news. It is a multi-year agreement. It starts next season and it is a commercial move that reflects the growing global appeal and commercial power of this football club. My analytical observation is simple. Clubs in this financial position attracting multi-year sleeve partnerships of this nature are clubs that are operating at the very top of the commercial game. Arsenal's ability to attract brands like Dell speaks to where this club is heading, both on and off the pitch. Guardiola admits Arsenal control the title race. This is one of the most significant moments of the day from a psychological standpoint. Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers in football history, stood in front of the media and effectively handed Arsenal the keys to the Premier League title. His words were these: "It depends on Arsenal. If they win their last two games, there is nothing to discuss." He then added, "All we can do is stay there just in case, and the last two games are tough." Now, read those three statements together. Guardiola is saying Arsenal are in control. He is saying Manchester City can only wait. And he is acknowledging that Arsenal's remaining fixtures against Burnley and Crystal Palace are difficult but winnable. He is not predicting an Arsenal collapse. He is conceding that the title is Arsenal's to lose. This matters because of who is saying it. This is not a fan account. This is not a pundit. This is Pep Guardiola, a man who has won the Premier League multiple times, a man who knows exactly what it takes to win this competition. And he is saying, if Arsenal win their games, it is done. That is a significant moment, and Arteta's team should take real confidence from it. Could Guardiola stay at Manchester City if Arsenal win the title? There are growing suggestions in the football world that Guardiola had been considering leaving Manchester City, but here is an interesting development. The belief is growing that if Arteta wins the Premier League title, Guardiola might reconsider his departure. The thinking goes like this. Guardiola would struggle to walk away immediately after his former assistant overtakes him at the top of English football. The rivalry which shaped an era of elite football would be entering a completely new chapter. And Guardiola, being the deeply competitive person he is, may not be ready to leave while that new chapter is just beginning. My analytical comment on this is that it is speculation and it should be treated as such. Nobody is confirming Guardiola is leaving or staying, but what is interesting is what it tells us about the magnitude of what Arsenal are achieving. The idea that Arsenal winning the league could influence the decision of a manager at another club tells you how much the balance of power in English football is shifting. Arteta's project is not just winning games, it is reshaping the entire competitive landscape. Manchester City cut the gap to 2 points. This is a confirmed result that every Arsenal supporter needs to understand clearly. Manchester City beat Crystal Palace 3-0 with goals from Antoine Semenyo, Omar Marmoush and Savinho. That result means Manchester City have closed the gap at the top of the Premier League to just 2 points. Their goal difference has improved to plus 43, which is one better than Arsenal's. But here is the critical fact. Manchester City still require Arsenal to drop points. 2 wins for Arsenal guarantees the title regardless of what City do. Arsenal host Burnley next and then travel to Crystal Palace. 2 wins, that is the target. That is all that is needed. City's remaining fixtures after the FA Cup final against Chelsea see them travel to Bournemouth and finish at home to Aston Villa. The gap is 2 points. The destiny is still in Arsenal's hands. But this result has made the final stretch significantly tighter, and it confirms that there is zero margin for error. Arsenal cannot afford to drop points in either of their remaining games. Theo Walcott backs Arteta, new contract. Theo Walcott, a former Arsenal player, has backed the club's decision to give Mikel Arteta a new contract regardless of how this season ends. His words were direct and clear. I am happy Arsenal are giving Arteta a new contract regardless of how the season ends. He added, if Arsenal make the mistake of letting him leave, they could easily go back to fighting just for top 4 or even missing the Champions League. And then this statement, right now, Arteta is the heart of Arsenal. My analytical take is this. Walcott is not wrong. The transformation this club has undergone under Arteta is visible and measurable. Arsenal are in a Premier League title race. Arsenal are in a Champions League final. 2 seasons ago, reaching a Champions League final would have felt like a fantasy. Now it is a reality. Securing the man responsible for that with a new contract is not just sensible, it is essential. The club's leadership clearly agrees, and Walcott's public support adds weight to a decision that appears to be the right one. Ethan Nwaneri and the Premier League medal question Ethan Nwaneri, the young academy product who made 6 Premier League appearances for Arsenal before joining Olympique de Marseille on loan this season, would still receive a Premier League winner's medal if Arsenal win the title. Under Premier League rules, players with enough appearances are eligible for a winner's medal, meaning Nwaneri would still be recognised as part of Arsenal's title-winning squad, despite currently being away on loan. This is a lovely detail that reflects the depth of talent emerging from Arsenal's academy at Hale End. A 20-year-old who has already made 6 top-flight appearances, who is on loan at one of France's biggest clubs, and who would be part of an historic title-winning squad. That is a remarkable story, and it speaks to the quality of player Arsenal are developing at youth level. Jakub Kiwior moves permanently to FC Porto. This is confirmed. Jakub Kiwior's move to FC Porto has been made permanent. The Polish defender spent last season on loan at Porto, and the Portuguese club have now triggered the €17 million plus €5 million in add-ons option. Arsenal retain a sell-on clause, so Kiwior is now a Porto player. This is Arsenal's first confirmed summer exit. He is no longer part of the Arsenal squad, and the deal is done. Arsenal have secured a total of up to €22 million in this transfer, and they retain a financial interest in any future sale through the sell-on clause. This is clean business from Arsenal's perspective. A player who had fallen down the squad hierarchy has been sold for a reasonable fee with future protection built in. Arsenal staff furious over Champions League final travel costs. This is a story that has caused real anger inside the club. Arsenal staff have reportedly been left frustrated after being asked to pay approximately £859 each to travel to the Champions League final in Budapest. In contrast, Paris Saint-Germain are covering travel costs for all employees attending the match. This is not a trivial issue. For staff members who have worked every day of this historic season, being asked to personally fund their own travel to the club's biggest match in decades feels deeply unfair, particularly when the opponent is covering those same costs for their own people. My analytical comment here is straightforward. The contrast between how Arsenal and PSG are handling this says something about internal culture and how clubs value the people behind the scenes. Arsenal's on-pitch performance this season has been exceptional, but how a club treats its own staff in moments like this matters. This story has understandably generated strong feelings inside the building. Jobe Bellingham being monitored by Arsenal. Arsenal are continuing to monitor the development of Borussia Dortmund midfielder Jobe Bellingham. The 20-year-old Englishman is also being tracked by several other Premier League clubs, including Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City. This is a rumour. It is a monitoring situation. It is not a transfer. It is not a bid. It is not a confirmed negotiation. My analytical point here is simply this. The fact that Arsenal are among the clubs watching Bellingham is interesting. He is a talented young midfielder playing in one of Europe's top leagues, and if the scouting interest is genuine, It suggests Arsenal are thinking about adding quality and depth in the midfield area. But this is very early stage and viewers should treat it as background noise rather than concrete transfer news. Arsenal monitoring Lamine Camara of AS Monaco. Arsenal are reportedly one of several clubs keeping a close eye on AS Monaco midfielder Lamine Camara as they look to strengthen their midfield ahead of the next transfer window. With Arteta expected to remain active in the market, Arsenal's scouting team has been closely monitoring Camara over a possible future move. Again, this is a rumour. This is not a confirmed transfer. This is not a negotiation. This is scouting and monitoring activity. My analytical observation is that two midfield targets being linked to Arsenal in the same news cycle tells you that midfield reinforcement is likely a priority in the summer transfer window. Whether Bellingham or Camara or neither of them ends up at the club remains to be seen. But the direction of travel in Arsenal's recruitment thinking appears to be focused on adding quality in that area of the pitch. Arsenal lead the Premier League fair play table. Arsenal currently have the best disciplinary record in the Premier League this season, 49 yellow cards and 0 red cards. For context, Chelsea sit at the bottom of the fair play rankings with 80 yellow cards and 7 red cards. This is a fact that does not get discussed enough. Under Arteta, Arsenal have become one of the most disciplined teams in the top flight. 0 red cards across an entire Premier League season is a remarkable achievement. It speaks to the control, composure and tactical discipline that has been embedded throughout this squad. When you think about the pressure they have been under this season, competing on multiple fronts, fighting for a title, navigating a Champions League campaign all the way to the final, doing it without a single league red card tells you a great deal about the character of this group. Wesley Sneijder's Champions League final prediction. Former international Wesley Sneijder was asked to predict the outcome of this season's UEFA Champions League final between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. His assessment was balanced and honest. He said, "If I have to say who I think will win, I would say PSG. But Arsenal are not conceding goals easily. They have a very strong defence with the 2 central defenders with top quality." He then identified what he sees as Arsenal's vulnerability. "I do not believe the fullbacks are the best players in the Champions League, and that is where PSG have power, especially on the left side." And then he added this: "Everybody with an Arsenal heart hopes Timber will be back and recover for the final. My analytical breakdown of Sneijder's assessment is this: he is predicting a PSG win, but he is clearly respectful of Arsenal's defensive qualities. His identification of the fullback positions as a potential weakness is an important tactical observation. PSG's threat on the left side is well documented, and if Arsenal are heading into that final without their best defensive options available, that is a vulnerability that will need to be addressed through tactical preparation." The hope around Timber's fitness is not just sentimental, it is strategically significant. Timber's quality and versatility in the defensive line could be exactly what Arsenal need to contain PSG's attacking threat on that side of the pitch. Sneijder picks PSG, but he is not dismissing Arsenal, and the fact that he ends his assessment by expressing hope that Timber recovers tells you that even those predicting a PSG win believe Arsenal's chances would be meaningfully improved with that player available. Micah Richards and the psychology of the title race. Micah Richards made an important public intervention this week, and it is worth taking his words seriously because they come from a place of genuine lived experience. Richards was part of the Manchester City squad that famously nearly threw away the Premier League title on the final day of the season, coming back dramatically against Queen's Park Rangers in what became one of football's most iconic moments. His warning to Arsenal was this: nerves and the pressure of getting over the line can cost you everything, even when you are the better team, even when the games are winnable on paper. He described what it felt like inside the dressing room that day at Manchester City. He talked about looking to the leaders in the squad, expecting to feel calm and instead sensing tension throughout the room. He mentioned looking at Vincent Kompany, normally the picture of composure, and seeing him fidgeting. His core point was this: Arsenal are going through that same experience right now. They have never won a Premier League title under Arteta. They have never crossed this particular line before. And that inexperience of winning in this specific moment, unlike Manchester City under Guardiola, who had done it multiple times, could be the decisive psychological factor. My analytical assessment of Richards' argument is that it is a legitimate and well-grounded concern. The history of title races is filled with examples of teams that were good enough but could not handle the final stretch. Arsenal came close before and did not get over the line. The question this time is whether the squad and the manager have learned from those moments and built the mental resilience to finish the job. 2 games, Burnley at home, Crystal Palace away. On paper, both are winnable, but as Richards makes clear, football is not always played on paper. David O'Leary on Victor Gyokeres. David O'Leary is a man who needs no introduction to Arsenal supporters. 722 appearances for the club, 18 years in red and white. One of the most respected defenders in the club's history. When O'Leary speaks about Arsenal, people listen. And this week, speaking on the overlap Stick to Football, he had specific and meaningful things to say about Victor Gyokeres. His assessment was honest and precise. He said Gyokeres looked a more effective player. I have seen him play for Coventry and I came away thinking, first of all, the lad is a trier. He will work hard for you. Is he the most technical? No. But he has a way, an effective way. And the last few games they have played to that and he looks a lot better player for it. Now, let us unpack what O'Leary is actually saying here. He is not saying Gyokeres is the finished article. He is not saying he is a technically perfect striker. He is saying that something has clicked in recent weeks. He is saying that Arsenal have finally found a way to use him effectively, and the results are visible on the pitch. The wider context around this is important. For much of the season, there were genuine questions about whether Gyokeres was the right fit for Arteta'S system and whether Kai Havertz should still be considered the first-choice centre-forward when fit. The £55 million fee from Sporting CP carried significant weight and expectation, and for a period, the returns did not seem to justify that investment, but that has changed. The brace and assist against Fulham, the heroic display against Atletico Madrid, these were not minor contributions. These were pivotal performances in big moments. And they have fundamentally shifted the conversation around Gyokeres from a question mark to a statement. The situation is now that Gyokeres has become Arsenal's undisputed first choice to lead the line at exactly the moment Arsenal need it most. 3 games remain that could define the entire season. A Premier League title to clinch, a Champions League final against Paris Saint-Germain, and Gyokeres is the man Arsenal will be looking to in all of them. O'Leary's observation that Arsenal have played to that effective style in recent games is the key analytical insight. This is about the team and the manager adapting, finding the right way to use a specific type of player and trusting that adjustment at the most critical part of the season. That is not an accident. That is coaching. That is tactical intelligence. And right now, it is working. Let me bring all of this together for you. Arsenal are 2 wins away from a Premier League title they have not held in 22 years. Their key defenders are injured or uncertain. Their manager is preparing the emotional environment of the club as much as the tactical one. Their star striker has found form at exactly the right time. Their title rivals have closed the gap but remain dependent on Arsenal making mistakes. And a Champions League final against one of the most powerful squads in Europe is waiting for them on the other side. This is what it looks like when a club is operating at the absolute edge of what is possible. It is not clean. It is not comfortable. There are injury problems, financial frustrations, psychological warnings from people who have been in this position before, and tactical challenges that still need to be solved. But the evidence also says this: Arsenal have the points, Arsenal have the games in hand, Arsenal have the manager, and right now, Arsenal have a striker who looks like he belongs in moments this big. Micah Richards warned them about nerves. Wesley Sneijder picked against them. The gap has been cut to 2 points. Nothing about this will be easy, but everything says Arsenal are the team standing closest to something historic. Stay locked in on this channel. We will be covering every angle of this story every single day until the title is decided and until that Champions League final in Budapest. If you found this analysis valuable, please subscribe, leave a comment below with your thoughts and share this video with every Arsenal supporter you know. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst. I will see you in the next one.